All right, now we want to talk about how to do the assembly. So in our assembly tab, we put all our parts in. And if you don't have them there, you go insert and you can do the whole studio. Then you'll have to add a bracket as well because we need two brackets. I've already got mine in there. Yours might even come in better oriented than this. But see, these are all kind of turned a little bit, but that's okay. They're not at 90 degrees. Nothing's upside down. They're kind of close to the right orientation. We just have to kind of move this in here, and so that's close enough. All right, we start with the same type of mates. We're going to use a fasten mate, which fastens something down so that it can't move. Then we're going to use, they call it a revolute mate. I'm going to call it a revolve mate, but I've never even heard that word before. But we know what revolve means and revolute, kind of the same thing. We'll do that for something that we want to spin around something. So let's start here. Fasten. And what has to match up is these holes, not the back to this corner. If those match up, fine. If they don't match up, fine. But these holes have to match up. So that hole has to match up to this hole. I can tell you this process is so much easier if you have a mouse and you use your right mouse button to rotate things. So then the same thing, I want this hole, then push the right mouse button down in this hole. So we can see all my holes are lined up. There is a gap here. They don't match up exactly to these edges. That's what it's supposed to be. Okay, now I'm going to drag this in kind of a little closer to where I want it. This actually, let's do this. So that surface right there, this edge in particular, has to go into that edge right there, right? Now, I want this thing to be able to spin. And so when you do your revolve or revolute mate, the order that you pick things matters. The thing that I want to actually turn, I have to pick first. So this was the mistake I made during first period today, that and it didn't work the way because I picked it in the wrong order. So the thing that I want to turn is this. So I pick the center point of that circle, and then I want this one, and that puts it in place. Now I've got a big gap here and no gap here because I picked this one. So I want to move that a little bit, kind of center it up. And that's called the offset. So you can move it. So let's try 2. It moved it the wrong way. It moved matter inside of matter. And in the virtual world, you can do that, but not in the real world. If I hit tab, now I can see I have a little more space here than here. So let's try 1. Now I have more space here than here. So it must be in the middle, 1.5. And that's pretty close, huh? Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that was that one. Now I want to put, this on this. By the way, let's go back to that first one. So that was this one right here, right? This axle. So watch this gray rectangle. This is my play button, just like on YouTube, an arrow. See the axle spinning? It goes 360 one way, 360 the other way. Every time I click that arrow, it shows what's spinning. So you can check to see if you've done this correctly. Now we're going to do the same thing with this. I might as well do this side while I'm here. So this, not the fasten, but the revolute or revolve mate. I want this. As you notice, the mate connector is the center point, but that's what I want, that center. And I go over here. I'm going to pick the edge of that. You don't even have to see it. You can see by just hovering over the edge, I see the mate connector where I want it. And I can check to see. Yep, okay. And that needs to be offset too. We've learned it probably has to go in a negative direction. So let's try -2. Your numbers might be different than mine, and yours might need to be positive, depending on which surfaces you picked. That's close enough. It's kind of in the center. If you want to jockey it around, it probably looks like it should have been 2.5 maybe, or 1.5. But anyway, that's good enough. Now, let's go back here and check the motion of it. Okay, this is why I put this circle in there so we can see it. I'm going to play it. There it goes. Pink. Pink. We're good. Now, if this is done properly, then I ought to actually be able to grab this and turn it myself. But the whole thing wants to move. I'd rather move the whole thing than just one part. Let's go back to mace plate. Right click on it. We want to fix it. We want to nail it down to that base plate so it can't move. Now when I grab this, I can spin my wheel. I can probably go over here and spin this wheel. It's not a wheel, whatever it is, axle. Okay, there's no spinning this because we didn't do the right kind of mate. And that's the name of that tune.